Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Podcast, the show where we take a given movie genre and explore the best example of that genre, the worst example, and that ugly example that makes you realize you're aging, and the only way to hold anyone's attention is to go on a killing spree. I am Mark.
I am Kelly.
And I'm Charles, and that was good, but it makes me sad. I thought you were going to say the only way to do it is to just quit the show after you're aging too much. I was like I almost cried there a little bit.
This is my farewell intro and outro. I have a big announcement that I have too many irons in the fire at this point, and so I'm pulling the Good Bad Podcast iron out of the fire, unfortunately. But I have been honored to have been asked to take Micah's place, and I don't know if you'll ever find another Micah replacement.
Or another Mark replacement.
Again, I didn't know where that was going. Did not know where that was going.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad that you're leaving.
I did take part in the 31 Days of Horror, and so I did want to come on, and I love doing that, and wanted to come on and do a little recap episode with y'all because we watched a bunch of movies this October.
We did.
Yeah, and some of them were good.
And some of them were bad. And some of them were ugly.
No, but I was actually I have a ton of episodes that we never put out, so it's gonna be interesting because even though this is your last episode, there's gonna be literal years worth of episodes coming out. Yeah, it's like Prince. It's like Prince when he recorded like albums. You guys heard about that, right? Like Prince he literally made entire albums for years that he never released. They're just locked away in his vault.
Wow.
And so they said
Very Prince.
They could release them for generations. He has dozens and dozens and dozens of complete albums. So
then like J.D. Salinger, when he died, I guess, I don't know if they knew or if they found it when he died that he had a bunch of writing that he had never published, like after Catcher in the Rye and stuff.
Oh, and Stoker, they just found a new. Did they find like a new short story by Stoker?
Oh wow, I didn't hear that.
I think was it Irish? Irish or Scottish? Anyway, they found it like it was at some like a library. It was like a short story he'd written.
Nice.
Wow, so that's cool.
Interesting stuff.
Check it out.
That's what we talk about here.
Yep.
Kelly and I talked about this yesterday. Actually, with that we're kind of what did we say? We're the approachable but high class of horror movie podcasts.
Yes, exactly.
Elite but approachable.
Yes, elite but approachable. Because we were I was listening. We've got a Hag Horror promo thing coming out soon, and I really like Kelly's narration of it. It was awesome. So
thank you.
So
I've had a lot of fun this month doing this with you guys. I mean, always, of course, but this theme is near and dear to my heart. So I appreciate you going along for the ride with me.
Third time's a charm.
I hope it hasn't been too torture. Well, I mean, it's one thing to do a couple episodes of 3 each, and it's a lot to do. What do we do? Like 10 or 12 each. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, it's a good genre, but it
was. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It can encompass so many things. It's a very wide umbrella. In fact, that's how The Substance got added, because I went to see The Substance because I was waiting on it. And I called Kelly right after I got done watching it and talking with her about it. I'm like, wait, this is a Hag Horror. She's like, yeah, it sounds like it. I'm like, I didn't put that together at all. But then the more I think about it, it's like the perfect like modern Hag Horror. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And I was so disappointed with myself that I didn't get to the theater in time to watch it because I really want to see it, and I will see it, just obviously not in time for the recording of this episode. But yeah, from how you were describing it, it seems like the perfect entry because Demi Moore is that type of star. She was famous, in the 80s. She was young and beautiful and glamorous and vulnerable and all the things, and she just had this long, varied, like extremely lauded career. She hasn't been doing this much lately, but I mean, I won't, you take the wheel and talk about the movie, but
that's why I wanted to definitely talk about it here on this episode. Even if no one else has seen it yet, because it's a movie that I can't believe exists. That's kind of the way I describe it. It's especially going to see it at the theater. It's an extreme movie. I mean, it is stuff you'll see in that movie you will not have seen elsewhere. So,
and that's coming from you, Charles.
and the fact, but also the fact that it won like best screenplay at Cannes, and like there's Oscar talk for it for Demi Moore. It's like it's crazy to think that what you could use horror, the genre of horror to do. I mean, to accomplish, like, because it's being used, to portray these extreme examples of like sexism and ageism and all this stuff in Hollywood. So
I feel like we have really had a horror renaissance in the last 5 years or so. I mean, just studios, especially like A24. I mean, I feel like I can't think of anything that fits the bill exactly as you're describing it, Charles. But I mean, these films have gotten really deep, and they do probe into uncomfortable areas that we don't want to think about or talk about, and that's just, it's very cool, very refreshing to see.
And Terrifier 3, that's I don't know did you guys see that movie or know about it at all?
No.
So that's the Art the Clown, if you guys have seen any of the
Oh yeah.
So what it is it's an independently produced movie, completely independent, and it's unrated. So but it actually was like number 1 at the box office. It actually beat Joker 2, which is like insane thing, and it's got awesome reviews. But it's like you say, it's kind of a renaissance. It's very interesting time we live in, where an unrated film can be number 1 at the box office, because it used to be they wouldn't show a movie if it was unrated, and they wouldn't show it if it was NC-17. Terrifier 3 is so extreme, it would have been NC-17 if it had got rated. It's brutal. It's like the most brutal movie I've ever seen. But the fact that it's number 1 is crazy. So,
well, I was telling Charles, the most disturbed I've ever been from a movie is The Smile.
I love that movie.
I guess it was like 3 years ago. It was. So, have you seen it, Kelly?
No, I haven't seen it, but I keep seeing the image for it on my Netflix account. Even the image is really unsettling.
Well, they say that the second one that just came out, they say that's even better. So.
Yeah, I should probably watch it. I almost regret watching the first one because it left me so disturbed. Like, it was so nihilistic and such a great allegory just for depression that follows you around and loss and stuff. And
yes.
Like,
like mental health and suicide. The first one.
Yeah.
I did a review of that with my friend Nathan for his podcast. And man, it was just, I did not expect that from that movie. I thought it was going to be one of those little, just, they're okay, but you just forget about them quickly. And it's like, no. They had something they wanted to say.
Yeah.
And it, like the way they scare you, things, it's not just jump scares. It's stuff that you just can't expect at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
was that A24?
Yes.
I'm not sure. It's part of the a birthday gift I just got. It's called Paramount Scares, and it's a collection of that. So I think Paramount made it, but I don't know.
A24 has been coming up with a bunch of good horror movies as well.
So and the Substance is Mubi. It's a MUBI. They're like a streaming service, so they're the ones that I don't think they actually produced it, but I think they bought the rights to release it and all that. So. Anyway, it's a cool time we're living in, because you can go theater and see all these cool things, and and the fact that
pure entertainment anymore,
right? And Terrifier 3 it's a Christmas movie. The fact that it was released in October it's interesting. So I think it'll have some legs. It may even stay around for a little bit longer. Anyway,
that's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to see The Substance. I
don't. For you, Kelly, I do not recommend Terrifier 3. I think I don't tell. Well, no. We've talked about it before. Like you've grown to really appreciate horror, and that's awesome. But I think that movie would push you a little too much. Because it's brutal for brutal sake. I mean, it's like extreme, and they do not shy away from anything. I was like, wow, I don't even know how they did that effect, but that's cool.
No, I want to see it.
I'll just take your word for it.
You should. You should. Mark, I think you would appreciate it. It's one of those. It's like it's kind of a dark comedy because it's like the main guy Art is silent. He's very. They kind of say, what is it? Is it Groucho? No, it's Harpo. No, which one never spoke out of the Marx Brothers? Because that's kind of how Art is.
Gosh, I never.
No, don't get me a line.
He does like mime stuff, and he never says a single word, and he's hilarious. But he'll also cut you in half. He'll put you upside down, cut you in half with a chainsaw. All the way down, and it doesn't cut away. They're amazing effects.
From Maeve to Chops.
And then go grab a bottle of bleach and a thing of salt and pour them on you. That's not an exaggeration. That happens. That's in Terrifier 2.
Nice. All right. So, do you want me to give my rundown of my good, bad, ugly picks from this list?
Yes,
I'm just stalling. I'm stalling. This will be the longest episode ever.
Nah. This was fun. Like, so I really enjoyed. This was such a diverse list of movies with such different production values and different like star ratings, and I really loved some, and I was pleasantly surprised by some. And
real quick, before you say anything, I think what we should do is each of us will list our 3, and then maybe the others can guess which one is which.
Should we read the reviews of them?
Well,
Since
I mean,
you may not have seen them, but
I'm just saying.
away.
Well, I'm just saying, say the name, and then we'll see if we can tell. Because I've seen a lot of these. I think.
Okay. So one of my picks is "Die, Die, My Darling" from 1965. Let's see what the other one is. "Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice," 1969. And last but not least is scrolling. My ugly. Oh, dang! I just gave it away.
Dang it.
All right. My other
Editing
picks
post.
is what's the one with what's his name? Hold on.
Oh, the Cry of the Banshee.
Yeah, Vincent Price.
Yeah. Well, how did I miss that one? Oh, Cry the Banshee. There it is. Okay.
That's your ugly one? Okay.
Yeah, that's my ugly. Dang it.
That's okay.
It may surprise you, the other 2. Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice, and Die, Die, My Darling.
Die, Die, My Darling's got to be. That's your bad, right? Die, Die, My Darling. It's got to be.
Yeah, that's my bad.
It's got to be. However, I must vehemently disagree with you. That is an ugly movie, or My Name Is Not Kelly.
Okay, so here was one of my distinctions about what makes ugly versus bad is the boredom factor. And so parts of this movie, if this movie didn't have the middle in there, where it's like, oh, she's still being held hostage with this religious nutbag, and oh, she's still locked up, and they're still praying, and like the premise is ugly. Some of the scenes are definitely ugly. If you had edited out like 45 minutes of this movie, it would definitely be ugly. But to me, I was like, oh, this is just painful to watch. And I feel like they completely underused the whoever the simpleton character was.
Donald Sutherland.
No, was it really?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I did not realize that was Donald. Oh my God. Okay, that makes it ugly for me. You just changed my mind.
Yes.
Oh my God. That was Donald Sutherland?
I love every second of that movie. Even the elements you've just described kept me wrapped with glee.
How did it even end? I don't remember. I assume she escapes, but
I don't remember either.
Oh my gosh! Wow. I just remember. I think I blacked out with joy during the scene where Tallulah Bankhead is in the closet, like putting the lipstick all over her. I don't. Gosh, she must have gotten away. Did she?
Yeah, I think the husband.
Sad. Because this is like we talked about it in another episode. We've all discussed this movie and we don't remember anything about it.
Well, I don't think that must have been with Micah when y'all did Did y'all do this one for the original Hag Horror
Was
episode?
Yeah.
Good Bad podcast? Okay.
Yeah, it was
Well,
with Micah.
Well, even so, I don't remember how it ended either. And Kelly, I mean, the fact that we've
Whatever,
discussed
that
it before.
That was like 7 years ago.
Because the boyfriend comes to save her, right? But I can't remember if he gets killed or not, or if he actually rescues her. But
Gosh, I am so disappointed to not remember. Guess I'll have to rewatch it. Oh darn.
so
I own it on DVD.
the other thing that bothered me is that she's unconscious during the movie's climax, which I put in my review. She like gets knocked out and then wakes up after the I'm like, well, she's the protagonist. She should take part in the like climactic scene, and she's just completely taken out of it.
Well, I agree with you in principle, and yet she was such an incompetent protagonist that I feel like all the focus was on Tallulah Bankhead anyway. She was where all the interest lay.
Well, and that may be kind of an inherent potential weakness with Hag Horror is that everybody's so focused on the villain character that the protagonist's role gets downplayed or overlooked or not written well.
That's
or
true.
maybe the star, the aging star is, make sure that there's too much focus on her.
My shoes are squeaking, by the way. If you're hearing anything, it's because it feels like I'm censoring these because they're blurring with my background, but I'm not. They're just the
I
Crocs.
was just about to say that. So I like them though.
Yeah. I'm going to throw them on the floor, though, because it really does sound like I'm letting loose. And I swear it's the shoes.
Okay, so
Well-
have either of you seen Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice?
I have seen it, but it was long ago. I
Okay.
remember liking it, but yeah, go tell us what you liked about it.
Well, I was surprised that it kind of transcended its genre because I don't even know if it feels like it was a made for TV movie, but maybe not. Maybe they just cut it. But it seemed like some of the breaks and fade outs were like originally for ad breaks, but
Mm.
it was really good. And the actress who did I list her in the thing? No, I'm blanking on her name, and she's not in my review. But Like, she
Geraldine
was-
Page
yeah,
and Ruth Gordon.
yeah, Ruth Gordon was really good. Who we were talking before we started recording was in The Neighbor in Rosemary's Baby. So really great cast, really great premise, really great drama and kind of theatricality, especially with that final scene. And so the premise is that this lady lures, older women with money to help her out and be the caretaker or maid around the house, and then murders her and takes them, like has them invest in something that has them give her a check for an investment, and then murders her and buries her under I can't remember what kind of tree, cypress tree or a tree of some kind. And they just keep doing shots of these trees that are different heights because they were planted at different murder times. And it's like, it's all Santa Fe desert, and it's kind of a haunting setting. So this one was like, I think just the best because it surprised me so much with how good it was. I think probably Misery is a better movie overall, but I figured we'd get into that regardless. So I wanted to give this one a good shout out.
Yeah, I like that approach. There's a couple of mine that I think I might do kind of the same thing. Yeah, I love your experience and your expression of your experience in watching these, Mark, that you like went in with such an open mind. And of course, there are many bad ones on the list, but there are lots of good ones. And I think it's cool that you guys both seem to have, I don't know, just gotten some joy out of it, as well as just, I don't know. We always watch good, bad, and ugly movies in the 31 Days of Horror, but this was kind of a kooky genre. But I think there's a lot of yeah. There's a lot to be said, and
but you know what? There's not a lot to be said about Cry of the Banshee, Vincent Price.
That trailer, I have not seen it, but that trailer is awesome. I had to censor it because you mentioned, is there too much toplessness or not enough? And the trailer had toplessness in it. I'm like, really? Okay.
So you both have seen Twins of Evil, and this is basically the same. It's like the same feel, the same cast, the same toplessness, the same just wanton gothic imagery. The funniest thing about this movie is that it's like titled Edgar Allan Poe's Cry of the Banshee or something. Edgar Allan Poe probes new depths of terror, and there's literally no reference to any work of Edgar Allan Poe's in the entire movie.
Oh, wow.
Because I was so excited for that because I'm an English teacher and I teach Poe every year, and nothing's nothing. I was like, wait, where was the Poe?
The quote in the trailer, like the poetry they use, that's not his at all. Like there's nothing.
I don't think the poetry is. I
I was like, where did that come from?
Unless they just plopped it in the trailer and it's not in the movie.
Okay, because I read your review when I was putting that together, and I was like, I wonder if this is like original for the trailer. Is it incorporated in the movie, or is it just some like blatant marketing attempt to like appeal
it was
to
a
Poe fans?
Marketing attempt. Yeah.
Wow. I do have to say that I love, like, because so we have a shared, for all you, this is some behind the scenes magic here. We have our extremely sophisticated spreadsheet where we all write our reviews. And so I've been cheating and taking a peek at everyone's reviews and making the graphics, and before I send them to Charles to do his video magic. And yeah, just reading what everybody has written was cracking me up all along. I loved your reviews, Mark. I loved your reviews, Charles. I've had so much fun.
Well, they're fun.
I was a little ahead of the game because I would just wanted to try to get through them, and so I felt bad because all of y'all's reviews are a lot longer than mine. It's like, oh, I should have written more, but
no, they're just succinct. I think, yeah, it's just.
I want to read mine from this movie, from Cry of the Banshee, though, because it gets to the zaniness. This movie introduces all sorts of questions to the viewer, like, where was the Banshee from the title? There was no Banshee. Who was I supposed to be rooting for? Why are the Satan worshippers dressed like pagans and also use voodoo? 3 qualities with very little historic overlap. Why is Edgar Allan Poe's name evoked, despite the fact that this movie has exactly zero reference to anything he ever wrote? Why does Elizabeth Bergner's character act mentally handicapped half of the time and completely lucid the other half? Was there too much toplessness or too little? But the most vexing question of all was how a movie this bad could keep me so wrapped and glued to the screen despite all its head-spinning, hilarious flaws. So yeah, it was just one scene after another where they were unconnected, but I was like, all right, this is just as crazy as the last thing, so I'll just keep watching.
I feel like that last sentence sums up a lot of the movies on this list. How they could keep me so wrapped despite being so flawed.
And I love Vincent Price, but in that trailer, it does not go together at all. Like it's like he's acting in a completely different movie.
Yeah, I think there was I was reading the trivia, and I think there was like a lot of artistic differences between the cast and Bergner and him and stuff as well. This is one of his later movies, I think.
He's hamming it up for sure.
Yeah. And he plays a kind of an unredeemable character too. He does not come off like looking like a hero at all. So, but it was confusing because there literally was no hero. There's like this guy you assume was, but then he gets possessed and starts murdering people. And Vincent Price is terrible, and Bergner's a witch. And so anyway, it's fun. Everybody should go see it.
It did. Even I'm happy that you compared it to Twins of Evil, because even just reading your review, I thought of Twins of Evil. So.
That was a fun one too. I want to go back and watch that.
That was a fun episode.
What was that episode? Oh, twin movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Evil twin movies. Yeah.
Yeah, because sisters.
Yep.
And yeah. But the Bette Davis one, that was the Dead Ringer, right? That was on that episode. So 2 of those movies are on this list, right?
No, oddly, that one wasn't on the Twins episode. That one was on the Bette Davis episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen it. That must have been a Micah episode because I watched it for the first time for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
That was pretty good.
Were there any? I guess that's your 3. Were there any other on the list that were close runner-ups?
Yes, there was a runner-up for Ugly. Let me see which one that was. Yeah, I remember. It was. Where is it? Night Warning, which had another name as well. This was Susan Tyrrell. So what I wrote in the review, her character navigates a slow descent into madness, all stemming from ... Well, ... It seems like she let her sister and brother-in-law raise her
Yeah.
son, but then had them killed so she could get him back and raise him instead. And a guy left her at some point, and she killed him too at some point. It was all very confused. But there was like this very I feel like that's in a lot of these movies. This very unhealthy relationship between the mother figure and the son figure, whether they're mother and son or not, or adopted or whatever. But these, this one and another one I reviewed, but this was funny because the police were like completely insane and like just running rampant with not following any laws and asking. At one point, there was like this insinuation that the son character was gay, and so he was like interrogating this girl about whether they had had sex or not. And he was like, "I need to know because I'm a police officer, and if he's gay and you haven't had sex, that's proof of something somehow." And I'm like, well, that's not how any of this works.
I've seen that movie. Hold on. What?
Yeah, Night Warning, but there was another name. It went by another title.
Yeah, that's funny because like you're describing it, I'm like, okay, I because that was the one is like
it was wild.
Yeah, because it was like
Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker.
That's yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like there was debate about how his parents died, where who was by. Yeah, I remember that.
And it starts with this great. It opens with this great scene where I guess she cuts her brother-in-law and sister's brakes, and so they're driving in the mountains, and for some reason hadn't noticed their brakes don't work, but they're like on this mountain road. And the car gets impaled by a huge log that's in like a logging truck, and it just completely knocks his head off of his shoulders backwards. And then the car tumbles down and burns up the wife. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay, we're off to the races here. It's on my screen right now,
and it's Bill Paxton's in it, right? Isn't he
Bill
one
Paxton has like a minor role. Yeah. He's one of the.
I had no idea because I only knew it by the other name. That's funny.
Yeah. It was wild. I recommend it just for a fun little.
It is fun.
Watch.
Because you have no idea what's going to happen. Like at any point, even at the end, I'm like, what? So,
all right. What about you guys? What were some of y'all's?
Do you want me to go, Kelly, or you want to? Do you want to stay for the end, or do you want to go ahead and knock it out?
Go ahead. If you've got them ready, go for it.
I've got it ready. Well, because so my top, at least of the ones I watched, was The Substance. I mean, we already kind of mentioned that. I think you'll see some nominations for that movie because they were able to kind of change it up enough that you kind of get around the idea of the just being a hag that's a villain or whatever. It's more about it uses horror to kind of show like what we do to ourselves to stay young, and also, if you're an actress and everything's about the male gaze and how they're treating you, and you reach a certain age and you're no longer viable to them. So it's really, really heavy, deep stuff. That's like, so, you can watch it for the surface level, which is just this extreme body horror, hag horror movie. And then you can watch it for all the other stuff. And it's so well made. And I wrote in my review that the fact that it was written and directed by a woman is amazing. I think that that's a perspective you need for these kind of things to have the nuances you need. So by far that was, because I think Kelly, you would probably say like Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, or Baby Jane. Those would be like your top ones off this list. But for me, The Substance, like it's not even close. And it's a lot of practical effects too. It's like it's a lot of really gross practical stuff, which I love. So, as far as the ugly or the bad one, we'll go that route. There was one clear one that I just hated, and that was I Saw What You Did. I am not a William Castle fan. I'm just not. And that movie was just garbage. I mean, there's no the tone of it is all over the place. Like even I'm not going to spoil anything, but even at the end, after like these like murders have taken place and like violence has happened, they turn it into like a corny like Leave It to Beaver style joke where the kids just like walk away and like make a joke about it and go back in the house like nothing happened. It's like what just happened? What is that? There's like nothing really at stake, and everything is such a crazy to make it fit the way they wanted it to make all these coincidences happen. These characters do some really extreme, stupid stuff. They're like that. There's no way they would do. And yeah, that movie's just hot garbage. It's just bad. And the crappy thing is, it's not streaming anywhere, so I had to buy the stupid thing. So I own a DVD copy of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as far as my ugly, that's kind of probably The Baby, because The Baby was one of those. I actually rewrote the review after I saw, like, Kelly had already made the graphic, and I saw it, and I'm like, that doesn't really. That's too harsh. So I like rewrote it, and I ended up raising my score. So I think I gave it 3 out of 4 stars. But that's a movie that just makes me uncomfortable, and it's weird. But the ending is great. I didn't see it coming, and yeah. But then, of course, another Flesh Feast was another one that I probably originally, when we talked about that one, I probably said it was terrible and bad. But thinking about it now, it's pretty much an ugly movie. So
did you watch it again, or you're
Great
just
title.
reflecting back on?
I'm reflecting back, but it was the trailer. When I went back in the trailer and like was putting it together, and just the worms and all that stuff, or whatever were they, maggots? Whatever they were.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
god, and Hitler bringing back Hitler.
The thing about that one, it
It has so many ugly elements, and I do delight in watching certain snippets of it. But the red, like it's short. It's less. It's like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and just barely over an hour. But there's just huge swaths of time where it's like she's just sorting the maggots into different buckets and doing little different stuff in her darkroom, and it's just stuff where nothing happens and I
Too
don't
much
know.
B-roll.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, too much B-roll even for a C grade movie. I don't know.
But yeah, most of these they're entertaining on some level, because they're just, again, you don't see this kind of filmmaking much anymore, and they just went all in on these premises that are so wacky. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other ones, but yeah, those were, like I said, Substance, great. You guys need to check it out when you can. Don't watch it with your kids. And then Ignore. Well, you have I Saw What You Did, don't you, Kelly? Or you've seen it? Like,
I have it and I have seen it. Yeah. I found a little more hilarity in it than you did, I think.
so
It would have
bad.
been more ugly for me, but I agree. It's very
so
bad.
What was the one that you saw? I think I don't know if it's for the first time or not, but it was, the production value was like the Flesh Feast.
Oh, Blood and Lace.
There you go. Am I spoiling it? Is that going to be your?
Oh, it'll be discussed. Yes.
Okay. Because I think anyway, but those are the ones. I'd say The Baby, The Substance, and I Saw What You Did. Those are kind of the ones that stuck out for me.
Okay. It's a good grouping.
But and by the way, we because of that conversation right after I saw it with Kelly, that's why we switched it out, because I couldn't find games. That was another James Caan one I was gonna watch, and I couldn't. The only way to get it was to buy it off of Amazon. I didn't want to take the gamble on that. So
It's hard because it was like a Blu-ray copy too, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even just it was,
it's like 25 or 30. Yeah, 25 or 30 bucks in it. So, but I had just seen The Substance, and I was like, okay, we don't have any modern films other than Misery, and I know we're jumping ahead like 40 years. But
Yeah.
can we please? And Kelly was good about that, because I didn't want it to. This was definitely her thing. I didn't want to change her list. I wanted it as pure as possible, but she allowed The Substance on there, so that's kudos to her.
Well, it is funny
That's-
that it is funny they stopped after like. Can you think of any modern day ones other than The Substance? Has Plastic Surgery just gotten too good?
I feel like you could say Hereditary is a hag horror movie.
See, that's surprising, because I had seen that on a list, but that surprised me, because I don't even know the main actress from that. Like, was she super famous before?
It's not like quite a. It's not as
Toni Collette. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
Colette. I can never think of her name, but she's been in so many different things. But she's not quite. She doesn't have quite the
Well, like The Sixth
clout
Sense.
as.
The Sixth Sense is the one I usually think of her from. That was the
Yeah,
first
but
time I
she
saw her.
wasn't like a huge star. I mean,
No, but I'm saying that's the first time I saw her, and
Yeah.
I think that really, because she's been in a ton of stuff since then,
The Hours About a Boy. Yeah.
and she can
But she
do
didn't-
with a lot of
She
different
didn't seem
accents.
that old in Hereditary. Like she just seemed like in her 40s, right? Like mother, like wasn't she just the mom?
She was, but that's the thing though. Most of these women in these movies are in their 40s.
Well, yeah. I mean,
They're just-
There's just a lot of smoking and alcohol. They age
Well, and that's-
faster.
Well, that
So that's
and
about the
different
substance as
attitudes
well.
towards
Like that's another cool thing about the substance, because Demi Moore, I think, is like 61, but she's playing a character that's 50. And it's like, it's kind of the opposite of this whole thing where it's like and she could definitely pass. I mean, she still looks great, but it's just funny that because usually in these movies, they'll be like 30 and they're saying they're old and decrepit. And like, so it's funny the way the substance flips that. So
that's where I mean I like that point, Charles, too. And I do think that although we obviously have a long way to go, it's not like we're just hunky-dory with women of a certain age today, but I think we're a lot more so than they were in the 60s and the 70s. I mean, I think now you can have interesting, meaty roles into your 40s and 50s and nobody really thinks much about it. But back then it was like, okay, what you can be is someone's mom
Yeah.
or a nun or
a grandmother.
you can't, your grandmother, yeah, you can't be the love interest once you're past your prime. So I think it was that sort of attitude that colored the plot devices that
Yeah.
made them seem older than they were, and they frumped them up too, especially Betty Davis.
Well, you just think about, I mean, Judi Dench, Helen Mirren. I'm missing 12 others who are like superstars in their 60s, 70s.
Mhm.
Sextet.
It's a
Oh,
Why don't you come
But
up and
I-
see
I-
me sometime?
maybe Kelly, you were pushing back a little bit on, because I feel like plastic surgery is part of it. I feel like makeup is part of it. Just health, just general health and skin care, right? Like, I mean, Helen Mirren still looks great. That's the other thing is like there's this shallow aspect of Hollywood that you can't get away from. I remember the Friends episode where Matt LeBlanc's character, where Joey was like giving a actors class, and he was like, and also you're all going to need to get a lot more beautiful. And I was like, that's not true. I don't like, people don't just want to see beautiful people on screen. And then I'm like looking, and then like as I get older, I'm like, wait, we kind of do, and that's kind of messed up.
mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yep. Sad but true.
even Russell Crowe was on a podcast talking about how when he gained weight, he just stopped getting calls for roles. He like,
Well, that's why he was.
Sucks.
That's why he did two like back-to-back Exorcist movies where he played an exorcist,
Right.
but they're
Right.
not related. They're not like a sequel to each other. He just did two independent movies, and they're both
Yeah.
terrible apparently.
Pretty wild.
And he played Zeus with like almost like a Jamaican accent, whatever accent he did. It was weird.
what was it supposed to? It's supposed to be Greek, right?
I think it's Greek, but it's
But
like, it's like all over
terrible
the place.
Greek, yeah.
It's like, hey, baby cakes, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, yeah, that,
It is
it's weird.
it's somewhat of a even though nobody should be made to feel that way, man or woman or old or young, but that it goes both ways, I guess.
Well, that-
Like, 'cause you hear about that kind of thing with women, but
Well,
not
like
as often with
Harrison
men.
Ford
Men can be-
being Indiana Jones, like he's in his 80s. I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
his final one, but he was. I think the where it kind of tipped was Sean Connery in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I remember that. First of all, that movie was terrible and it bombed, but I remember people talking about like they couldn't take it seriously that Sean Connery was still like kicking butt as old as he was. So I feel like that was where
Interesting.
it started to change. I think where a lot of it's like it got more like grounded and realistic. And I don't know. I feel like that turn of the century kind of thing.
I actually like that movie.
Do you really? Oof.
Well, I'm an English teacher, so just all the references to all the classics.
I figured you'd
I just-
hate it because they
yeah.
butchered all of those, especially like the Invisible
Nah.
Man and stuff.
I can appreciate cheesiness for cheesiness. But all right, Kelly, what are your picks?
Okay, well, so I feel like, as you mentioned earlier, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte are kind of like the 1A and 1B of the list. Whichever one you like better depends on who you ask. But I think those are both head and shoulders above all the rest. There are some others that I think are also still really good. But those are the best ones they have. I really like Robert Aldrich directed them both. Both star Betty Davis. I love Robert Aldrich's style. I mean, the direction, the cinematography was so beautiful. It's just so much more successfully stylized visually than any of the other movies that I've seen on this list. It's just kind of hard to take your eyes from it. It's just so striking. There's kind of that high contrast, chiaroscuro lighting. They're both pretty out there in terms of the performances are over the top. I mean, I think I wrote in my review for Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte that people either love Agnes Moorehead or hate her in the role of Velma Crother. I used to hate it, but I don't know what happened. Time has changed me, and now I think she's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, just star-studded. I think Charlotte had a bigger budget, or at least I don't know, maybe fewer people wanted to sign on for the first one because they didn't know how it was going to take. I mean, it hadn't proven to be successful yet. Also, the story was just kind of limited by the players that were involved. It was adapted from a book by Henry Farrell, and actually he wrote several of the material that the movies from this list were based upon. And I think he had a hand in writing the scripts as well, so that's pretty cool. What else? Yeah, Charlotte just has so many people in it. I mean, it has Betty Davis and Olivia de Havilland,
Joseph Cotton,
Agnes Moorehead, Mary Astor, like just a lot of famous names. Baby Jane feels more like a play almost, because it's so much of it is just Betty Davis and Joan Crawford interacting with each other and tormenting each other. But this set is so great. I love Victor Buono. I believe that was his first film, and he actually was in Charlotte as well. It just so cool. I mean, and if you can stomach the slight goofiness and over the topness of both of them, I think they're both really good movies. They're very well made. They're very thoughtfully produced. They set the tone for all the rest of these ladies who would sign on to this genre. I mean, it just proved that you could still draw a crowd to the box office, even if you were wearing ridiculous garments and like putting on pancake makeup and dancing around.
I almost did that tonight. I didn't get around to it, but I almost did.
You would, Charles.
Well, no, because you remember my was it for the John Waters one? I realized later on that playing Divine, I ended up looking more like Baby Jane. Oh, hey, it's Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield.
Nice. I love it, Mark.
Are my eyes crooked?
They look good from this angle.
Yeah, they look good.
Had to bust it out.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. That was awesome.
I'll probably wear it for Halloween.
Was a good. I'm so happy I got that for you.
I got so many miles out of this.
Well, just because you're saying you've worn it a lot. Like I was a little worried you weren't going to wear it, but for like one time, and every time I see you in a picture, I'm like, that's awesome.
I think I'm still thin enough to fit into the spandex. We'll see. It's stretchy.
It's a bold gambit, but I like it though.
Can I admit something to y'all?
Yes.
I have never watched Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
What?
Oh.
because
you gotta watch it.
Micah did the Hag horror, and then we did Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte for the, was it Betty Davis or was it Joan Crawford episode?
That Hush Hush
So I've
Sweet
never seen
Charlotte.
it.
Mm.
Yeah, because she's not in it. She was almost in it.
Mhm. She was supposed to be, but then she was being difficult on set, and so they gave her the boot.
Everyone was having to drink Pepsi because of her.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought Joan Crawford was.
she was originally
or
like
Betty
she
Davis.
shot some of it.
Oh, okay,
in,
okay.
In Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Yes,
but then
yeah.
she
So
was
they
fired.
were both in Baby Jane, and then they were supposed to both be in that one, and then
Okay.
it was.
Mhm.
But she literally, was it her husband? Someone. What they were like? They owned like Pepsi or something, and so like it was like she had to insist on like them having like Pepsi vending machines everywhere. There, it was just it was ridiculous. I don't remember the whole story of it, but yeah. And I don't even think, didn't she find out she wasn't part of it on the news or something? Like it wasn't. I don't even know if they told her. No, I'm serious. Like I think it broke out and she
Yeah,
read it
she
somewhere
found
that
out.
that's like, uh-oh.
I think you're right. I think I don't know why that this could be wrong, but I think she checked herself into a clinic or something from fake exhaustion from working so hard on the movie, and then she read it while she was in the clinic.
And apparently she's like, there's like one or two shots, like wide shots that she's in still that they didn't reshoot. They
They just
just
didn't cut.
they didn't take it away. I think it's like the taxi shots or something. It's her, but
What do you think that was? Because back in the day, people used to have maladies that we don't have anymore. Was it just anxiety and stress? And they used
she
to
was
get,
just she's a diva.
vapor.
From what I
Yeah.
could tell, I don't know. I don't know if Feud made her. Feud was definitely much more sympathetic to Davis, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I got the sense from that they kept it pretty truthful.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's nothing. I like Joan Crawford as an actress. I like her work, but I think she was pretty high maintenance,
yeah.
shall we say? But there are some cool things. I mean, you totally should, Mark, some fine day see whatever happened to Baby Jane. It's crazy. It's unbelievably off the wall. But I think I know you don't agree, Charles, but I like Betty Davis's performance in it better than I like her performance in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. Even though
I love Sweet Charlotte. To me, is a whole different movie. I don't even think they're on the same level, but I understand how one led into the other. But Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte is so creepy and
as dialed up to 11 as it was, I just believed her performance more in Baby Jane. Like it just felt more authentic to Davis somehow than her. I just don't really believe her as the victim as much. And I know I don't know. I love Olivia.
Is she the
Havilland.
victim? Yeah. For those who haven't seen it,
Yeah, well, just the way she is all through.
I know. I'm kidding, but it was one of the things we talked about was maybe for future we're going to do like a spoiler like bell or something that goes off anytime we hit into that, because I feel like we dance around spoilers a lot and then we just cross the line and go
Crash
right into
through
it. Yeah. We're
True.
not going to do spoilers. Oh, well, she dies at the end. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Surprise. Yeah. I just mean her general like demeanor separate from whether she did or didn't do anything.
Yeah, no, I got you. What's your bad one? Or your good? What do we say? Again, I already forgot the name of it. The blood and late. No, what is it?
Oh yeah, blood and lace. Okay.
I keep thinking of Blood and Black Lace or whatever. Isn't that's a giallo? I keep thinking it's like not the same movie.
Yeah, yep. It was hard to find this one. For good reason. I think the thing that disappoints me most of all is that I was really excited to watch this one, and I didn't know much about it, but I was like, it has to be amazing because Gloria Graham is like, just reading the synopsis, I was like, this is gonna be epic. She's so good at being bad. She's just like the perfect saucy femme fatale, and it was so like from the first opening. There's a sequence at the beginning that she's not in. This is nothing about this is any shade to Gloria Graham, but it tries to be a slasher, but it's so horribly, like, there's no budget for anything. It's like somebody walking around, but not even with the authenticity of a shaky cam type of.
Yeah.
It's just like not
just shaky
focused and
in a bad
just
way.
shaky. And there's like a hammer. You see the claw and the head of the hammer outstretched, as if you're from the slasher's perspective holding it, but it's like not held at an angle that you would ever hold a hammer that you were about to hit somebody with.
Yeah.
And it's just like duct taped to a dolly or whatever, and you're following for such a long time. It's like not changing in any aspect at all. I don't know. It was just so stupid. And the whole movie was very creepy 70s vibes. Like the premise of it is a prostitute is murdered by the, hammer tripod man, and her daughter has to go to an a school, orphanage, girls' home, whatever, because she's 16 or 15, and the orphanage is run by Gloria Graham and Uncle Leo from Seinfeld, and
nice.
which is a bit hilarious. But Gloria Graham is pretty good in it, but everything is just drenched in these like sexist, creepy, statutory flavorings that just was so uncomfortable and weird. And the police detective that is trying to find the killer is all hugsy cozy with the 15-year-old, and they're constantly complimenting her on her body and her looks and her. It's icky and disgusting, and the end is pretty wild, but I hated it. It was like worse than a TV movie. I can't even believe that they got her to be in such a piece of filth. But
what was it? Was it her last movie? Because I feel like I feel like a lot of these, it ended up being like their last role they did.
that's a good question. I don't think that it was, but let me just check.
Especially like if the movie bombed or whatever, it was just like the final nail in the coffin on their career.
Right. Yeah. I know. Yeah,
because it was like Flesh Feast was, right. That was hers, and then
yes.
What else? Some of the other ones.
I think Agnes Moorehead, she died after Dear Dead Delilah. I'm pretty sure, because she already had terminal cancer when she was filming it.
And a complete different direction. We kind of mentioned Misery a second, but Misery is kind of like, it's like The Substance, right? Like she won an Oscar for that role. That was another. It's another one of those like you can twist it just enough and make it like a very entertaining, well-made movie. So these don't have to be terrible films, but then Hag Horror just makes them sound like they might be terrible, but them not necessarily.
Right. Yeah. And part of the reason why I was so amped for this movie was because like it sounded intriguing, and I definitely think that had it been I don't know what the circumstances would have needed to be if they would have changed some of the rapey elements of the writing, and they would have kept like the other plot points in place, kept the cast. That's fine. It could have been so good. I'm just so mad about everything about it. Okay, no, Gloria Graham made other movies after this one, so she didn't fall prey to that curse. But yeah, gosh, that really got me. So didn't like that one. Flesh Feast was a hot mess.
Flesh Feast, such an evocative title every time I hear it. Flesh Feast.
It's so crazy. Did you, Mark? You said you didn't see it.
No, I have not seen Flesh Feast.
someday when you're really bored, you should watch it and then just fast forward through the boring parts because there are some parts. There's a pretty funny kind of Weekend at Bernie's style sequence where they wheel a cadaver like, with sunglasses on down through the sidewalk next to the hospital.
When the whole movie is like dubbed, like, and not, I don't mean like in a different language. I mean, I guess they didn't record any sound, so they just try to dub their lines later on, and it's like there's such flat readings, and it doesn't go with how they originally shot it at all. It's weird. It's very bizarre. You could tell, like, when she's trying to do the maniacal laugh, it's like it does not match at all.
I'm glad some of their careers lasted after some of these, like, you know, Eric Roberts with Talking Cat. He still got real close after that.
Talking cat?
So I have a friend who's writing a book where there's like a little talking cat sidekick, and they were telling me about it last night. I was like, oh my god, a talking cat.
Did you tell them to watch it? They need some inspiration, right?
I will not spread the horror that is soulless mind suck that is that movie.
Because he read that from didn't he do it from the recording from his like living room? He refused to go anywhere.
He refused to go into a studio, so it's like really echoey metallic recordings.
I forgot about that one.
I did too. Goodie. That's a great film.
And I'm looking at the I'm looking at the movie cover, the movie thing, and it's not the same cat. They put a kitten on it. It's not the same cat as that's in the movie.
I know I picked that genre, but I don't even remember what the genre was that led to that movie.
Talking animal movies.
Yeah.
Was that really all it was? Like,
yeah. Because you had
we did human hybrid animal movies, right?
Yeah,
but that's a different. Okay.
Well, now you got me second guessing myself.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I remember Howard the Duck was on there somewhere,
and
a talking cat, and then Cats. I remember that, but I don't remember much else outside of those three.
Because I think it was Talking Animals because I think Babe was on there, right?
So human hybrids must have been different.
I think it was separate. I think Talking Animals was earlier, and then later you both were you, of course.
That's not an animal kick.
That's amazing.
Which I must also say, there were a lot of cat movies on this list as well. I guess cats are perceived to be very evil and malevolent, but
was it Eye of the Cat? Is it
Eye of the Cat?
That trailer is awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's another one that was a contender for bad. I thought I was going to love it, and it made me so mad. But yeah. I think I pretty much said it all in the review. So if you are curious, check out the review from that.
What's the Barbara Stanwyck cat movie?
Walk on the Wild Side.
Yeah, that's it. With the cat in the opening. Okay, yeah. All right.
And there was
wait. Hold on.
We're all over the place talking about cat movies now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
They're everywhere.
The animal hybrid movies was Planet of the Apes, The Island of Dr. Moreau, and Cats.
Okay. So then
how was Howard the Duck not on that one?
I don't know.
Oh no.
I guess he was on Talking Animals.
Yeah, maybe.
This is Mandela effect, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so there was another one. So the 24th, October 24th, the review for Persecution also heavily featured a cat that was very evil. But that one I wanted to mention as a runner-up for good. I mean, it's not like it's nowhere in the same league as the ones we were talking about. But it surprised me. I was very afraid to press play on it after the bloodletting of Leatherface. I was like, oh no, it's going to be the same. But so Lana Turner is the grande dame of this one, and her performance was so good. It boggled my mind, and for a fairly good chunk of the movie, I was like, okay, all right, she was awesome, but everything about it, I was like, I don't know. I was thinking of rating it like a 2.5, maybe, but then it started to kind of pick up steam. And by the end, I was like clutching my cheeks in anticipation, and it was really pretty good. So some rainy afternoon, if you if you feel like watching evil Lana Turner and an evil cat,
Sold.
the Persecution, and another good one that I wanted to mention was Night Watch with Elizabeth Taylor. That one was very good. You'll feel very at home watching it because there are a lot of movies that hew to that same trope. The unreliable female narrator who sees something but nobody believes her, and you're not really sure if you should believe her or not. It's a very, very common thing. They're still making movies about that sort of thing, but yeah, the end again. The end was so just just threw me for a loop. It was brilliant and amazing, and so I really, I think Night Watch is probably a better overall movie than Persecution, but I like Lana Turner's performance in Persecution a lot. Ugly, I would have to say Dear Dead Delilah is one of my faves.
Oh man.
It's just that opening sequence will never not be funny to me. Do you guys remember that from when we watched it a few years ago together? The Luddy, for the Patricia Carmichael character who's pregnant and murders her overbearing mom in this horrifying, like, bizarre opening with kind of music from Deliverance style. It's the whole thing is supposed to take place in Nashville, therefore everything is dripping in
Country twang.
wisdom. Yeah. And so she goes to prison for 25 years, and then she gets out of prison, gets on a bus, sees a touch football game, and wanders into
I remember
the middle
that.
of the
Oh, yes.
field,
Yes.
gets knocked over. I just love it. Agnes Moorehead, she's in a lot of these movies in some form or fashion. Sometimes she's the star, sometimes she just has a small role. I was rewatching What's the Matter with Helen, and I totally forgot that she was in that. Just briefly.
That's another trailer that's awesome. Shelley Winters playing the piano wild, like at the end of I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
it's also
another really good one.
it's funny how many of these movies ask about. I guess they're all just playing off of the original Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, but they're all like asking questions like,
Yeah. Whoever slew Auntie Roo.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think a lot of those that have that style to the title were written by Henry Farrell.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure of every single one, but I think I know at least several of them were.
I
So
like
don't know why you like that.
that trailer is awesome though, because it's like I like the goody like dialogue in it. That's just great. It makes me really want to watch it. I want to get that poster too.
It's good. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit of everything because Debbie Reynolds is really good in it. Shelley Winters is kooky but really good. It's creep. It has the whole thing where somebody, they pick up the phone and somebody's on the other end, heavy breathing and making threatening remarks towards them. And it really does kind of raise the goosebumps. So they leave. They try to start over. Mark, it's. Are you familiar with What's the Matter with Helen?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't seen that one.
It's like, so the Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters play the moms of two heinous murderers who get sent away for life in prison, and there's such publicity of the murder trial that even the moms are getting backlash, and so they move to try to start over and have a fresh start. But right before they move, which kind of spurs the move, they're getting these threatening phone calls. It's like, I want to see you, creepy, evil stuff. So, but then the calls continue in their new life, and it's yeah, I don't. It's very I like it a lot, and there's kind of a. I feel like they were exploring a little bit the idea of a same-sex attraction between the two of them, so that's pretty interesting.
Like as a subtext, or are they ever
Mhm.
explicit about it?
They're never really explicit about it, but it's not too hard to make that
Yeah.
inference. So yeah, that's another
Nice.
one I would check out if you feel so inclined.
Cool. Well, this was a good list. This was a good list. I liked watching these leading up to Christmas to Halloween.
I was like,
Yeah.
man,
A
I
little
was like,
different
he's
slant.
gearing up for the outro. It's not going to be
I
messed
know,
up.
right?
And then I was like sad at the same time. So I'm glad. Thank you.
No, but this is like, slasher, blood, horror. Like this was a nice little refreshing break from some of that. I'm sure Charles doesn't appreciate that, but I'm sure you got all of your slasher stuff in too, right, Charles?
For just the movies I watched in general, you mean, or what?
Like this season, have you gotten any good amount of blood and gore as well as hag horror?
Well, Terrifier 3. And,
Okay. Oh yeah.
I mean, that one got enough for me, I think.
All right, I am Charles. I am queuing up for the outro. Do y'all have any other announcements we want to make before I do it?
I don't think so. It's been a pleasure, Mark. We're gonna miss you on the show, but
Me too.
best of
It's
luck in all
got
your many endeavors.
So many unreleased episodes, though. I mean, the Wichita
You'll be here in
Cousins.
spirit.
We never released those. Like
Are you serious? You released some of them.
Well, we did them on Facebook Live, but then we they never.
You just never put them.
We never put them anywhere else. They're not on the stream. They're not anywhere else. And so,
Yeah.
even if I release them once a month, these are going to go on for years. All these. So,
All right, well, good. That's good.
yeah.
Do y'all have any future episodes lined up yet?
I don't think so. Not concretely.
Well, I definitely want to finish our the Hannibal Lecter series if we can ever get Topher back on. So,
Have you guys ever watched the NBC show?
yeah, I watched it. I watched
Amazing.
it for that. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
because
Amazing.
because they couldn't do
Not.
they couldn't do Silence of the Lambs. They couldn't do Clarice or whatever.
Right.
They didn't have the right to it for whatever reason. And
But
that's
that
when
show-
CBS made their own version of Clarice, which I think Kelly liked, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yes, I did like that. Did they do more than one season?
I don't think so. I don't even know did they finish the first season? I thought it just kind of got canceled and stopped.
Gosh, I'm struggling to remember.
But they keep saying they're going to continue Hannibal on Netflix, but they've been talking about that for a long time too.
Oh man, I would watch that in a second.
Because I mean,
It
it
was
ended.
so good.
It ended on a literal cliffhanger. So
Yeah. Oh, so that was so good.
so violent.
Yeah.
It was so much more graphic.
But it was
than the movie.
it was like disturbing violence paired with like pornographic images of food being prepared by Hannibal. Like it was so delicious and so and then murder. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's just
Yes.
crazy because that was on NBC.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah.
of the most graphic shows ever on TV. I don't know how it was allowed. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody should check it out.
Yeah, I like that.
That was a
You know,
segue.
you know what else you should check out? Our socials and our outro. So as always, you can catch us live on Facebook or listen to the replay on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube by searching Good Bad Podcast, all one word, or head over to our website, itsjustawesome.com. But wherever you check us out, please be sure to subscribe and like because it really does help. Thank you guys. I have been Mark.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm just sad.
Bye guys.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
good one.